Hi there, this is the third group project for the South Africa group. German English is our outer circle English. German English takes its place in an expanding circle in the model of the three circles, meaning English is taught as a second language, also known as an ESL. Beginning in primary school, as many as 16 German states list English as a crucial aspect of general education. Unlike the optional second language choices we are accustomed to in the American system, Germany, these 16 states, require a certain level of fluency in English in order to advance to higher education. Today there are about 46 million speakers of English in Germany, so it is no surprise that English is now an official language in Germany. English in Germany is now at the forefront of higher education in the sciences. Most of Germany's universities now offer entire degrees up to the doctorate level solely taught in English. English has additionally become the standard of scientific publication, which encourages its use in politics, healthcare, technology, and the general media in Germany. English in its early days was a West Germanic language, sharing many aspects of grammar, phonology, and vocabulary. Early forms of both languages possessed gender and nouns, grammatical casing, similar verb conjugation, and even noun declension. It should then not come as a surprise that modern versions still share a few similarities. German and English share 26 letters, with a few additions such as e, u, and s, or the double s. Sharing so many letters, it would appear to make English easier for Germans to pronounce, but this is not always the case. When discussing the major differences in English as compared to German English, the sound th comes to mind, which for Germans, German English becomes da or za. This is because th does not exist in German. The sound w also comes to mind because it does not exist in German and often becomes v and even v, f sometimes. Additionally, there are three major variances in German grammar that do not exist in the English language, which can affect syntax. The first of these is that verbs must be the second portion of an independent clause. Secondly, the past participle is the last portion of the clause, and thirdly, the verb. Now, an independent clause must be the very last portion. It would go something like, Ich habe mit dem Bus gegangen. In English, I have with the bus gone, or as we say in standard American English, I have taken the bus. Now, notice how they might make the mistake of a direct translation, pulling from German grammar. I have heard more than one German express confusion that I take the bus to school, but it is me that the bus took if there is any taking going on. This is because Germans go with the bus. It can be confusing for some German ESL speakers to make these vocabulary switches since these rules are not the same in English. An aspect, therefore, of German English is the presence of German syntax and/or grammar. All of our group members speak a Utah SAE, and there can be found more than a few variances between this English and German English. Using the YouTube German English clip of the German professor, I will try to relate three of these. One odd variance appears at the very end of the clip when the German ESL speaker finishes a complete sentence, the end of a lecture, and out of the blue, seemingly, he abruptly ends with a please. I personally have heard many German speakers do this at the end of such formal speeches, be they to a classroom or standing up in a bar to make a toast. This is not something that Utah SAE speakers would do. We usually end with a thank you. This please he utters comes from his mother tongue. In German, the word bitte is the culprit. Bitte is most commonly known to mean please, but also means thank you. And in German, the two concepts are mutually interchangeable, but English speakers prefer one, the please translation. Therefore, he said please, where a Utah speaker might have just said thank you. Another variance is in the way the German ESL speaker inserts additional descriptives when he says John B. always does something in a certain way he does not always do. He says, always does this, always does that, and is like this. American speakers would probably shortcut and say always does this, does that, and is this. Native English speakers would find his list exhaustive and repetitive. They would find the positive, he also says always never, and we would find this positive immediately followed by a negative and unnecessary description. A third variance is evident in, as mentioned earlier, in the way he pronounces nearly every word. While listening to him speak, a native English speaker who has some familiarity with how a German or a German ESL speaker sounds might at first listening to him suspect that he's actually speaking German and not English. That is to say that his very utterance of English is made using a mouth that inadvertently appears to have been ever devoted to German. There is a comment made on the German video in German on the bottom that describes his accent as belonging to an older generation. I think this is a very important detail to note. I think what they mean by this comment is that he has had a lesser degree of outside English, British, or American influence. So while his grammar is very near to what a Utah essay speaker might use and is only slightly Germanesque, his very heavy accent remains the true variance. Thank you.